5 bold predictions for the St. Louis Cardinals' upcoming season with Thomas Gray from RedbirdRants.com, including somebody losing their job.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on X at JD Sports Radio. Follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We're on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Hit that notification button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. Also available on TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Thomas Gray from RedbirdRants.com joining us here today to talk a little Cardinal baseball. Final week of spring training is here. Your thoughts on what you've seen from the team so far? Optimistic? Pessimistic? How you feeling?
I've been told to discount all spring training stats. So at the moment, I think I'm just neutral. No, it's been good. I'm just happy to have baseball back. I think it'll be fun once the regular season starts and see what this team has to show.
I agree with you. It's just good to see the guys out there, and where there's not a whole lot of expectations. Most people not expecting a whole lot from the team, and maybe it works in their favor where people underestimate them a little bit, but we won't really know until the regular season starts. I do see that you are rocking a Cardinal shirt here today. Do you have somebody on the back of that shirt, or is it just a normal t-shirt?
It's Masyn Winn on the back. I got this last year.
There you go, Masyn Winn. I have this thing with our family. It's not just me, but our family. We don't buy shirts or jerseys of people that are actually on the roster because there's some weird curse in our family. And it doesn't matter what sport, whether it's the Cardinals, the Blues, any of our favorite football teams, Packers for me, whoever I buy, if they're on the roster, they will get hurt immediately. Like immediately. It's a sad state of affairs. So I just don't do it anymore. Masyn Winn's been hurt, the sore wrist. You got an update on what's going on with Masyn?
Yeah, the last I saw was John Denton said that he got some work on the backfields yesterday on Wednesday. He's looking to be back in the game tomorrow on Friday after the off day.
Well, that's good. Yeah, a little sore wrist is what he's been dealing with. Do you have any issues with having injured people when you buy jerseys or anything? Who have you owned in the past?
It's a mixed bag. The first one I ever got was Colton Wong, probably 12 years ago, 15, I don't even remember. So he did pretty, good Cardinals, defensive guy, solid, And then I had Harrison Bader and Tyler O'Neill. So this Masyn Winn jersey better pay off, I guess, based on my track record.
Yeah, the Tyler O'Neill one was a tough one, man. He was always dealing with injuries. I'm not going to put the blame on you for that one. I did not own one of his either, so blame is not on me. Again, I don't buy the people who are on the roster anymore. It just doesn't work out for me so much. You recently did an article giving out 5 bold predictions at RedbirdRants.com for this upcoming season. It's supposed to be a fun thing, don't take everything so seriously, but, it's kind of like, these are things that they could happen realistically. And the first one actually has something to do with our shortstop, Masyn Winn. What was your prediction about Masyn in 2025?
I predict that Winn joins the 2020 club. It might not be overly, when you're bold, you think MVP season for this one guy. And so
50-50 for Masyn Winn. It's going to be a crazy year.
It's bold-ish, we'll say. He's only hit, the most he hit was 18 home runs in his career. That was as a minor leaguer. He's eclipsed 20 stolen bases before, but he's never put the two together, the stolen bases and the home runs. So that in and of itself makes the 2020 season pretty bold for Masyn Winn. He's talked many times about wanting to boost his speed. I think that him tapping into some power would be very beneficial for him. Slugging 20 home runs as a shortstop is tough in general. So if he can get even to the 15 to 20 home run mark, I think that's good. And then he gets some more stolen bases, something that he did really well as a prospect.
Yeah, and the thing with Masyn is when it comes to the stolen bases, do they give him the green light? Because you just don't know. If it's the coaching staff that's saying, well, let's not be too aggressive and run into outs and stuff, or is it the players not getting good jumps or good reads off the pitchers, because it's not like Masyn is slow. Like sprint speed, if you go to baseballsavant.com, he's in the 87th percentile, so he's up there. It's not like this is he's okay fast. No, he's pretty darn fast. And his ability to steal bases is something that we haven't really seen a whole lot yet at the major league level. And again, it's something that the Cardinals just haven't done a whole lot of, even though the league has made it something that is easier to do nowadays. Like they're helping. They want to see you guys run a little bit more. Perhaps it's personnel that doesn't allow them to run as much as we would like. But hopefully, I do want to see that. If you have somebody like Victor Scott on the roster this year, obviously he can fly. Masyn can fly. Jordan Walker has got legs that he runs really, really well. Again, getting on base is the big part of this. Before you can steal second, you got to get on first. So that's something hopefully they'll be able to do. Your second one has to do with the veteran pitchers against the younger pitchers. I'm going to let you explain this one to everybody, this particular bold prediction. It's got some math involved in it.
Yeah, right. So as far as boldness, this might be the boldest. If you look at our starting rotation, it's Sonny Gray, Eric Fetty, Miles Michaelis, Steven Matz, and then someone after them. Could be two people if they do the six-man rotation. They are all above the age of 32. So my prediction here was that pitchers under the age of 30 would throw more innings than pitchers older than 30 from the rotation, not the bullpen. This is just the starters. Last year, pitchers over the age of 30 threw 713 innings as starters for the Cardinals, and pitchers under 30 threw only 167. So I have about 560 innings to make up here.
Yeah,
and flip.
That's a big separation, buddy.
It is. Well, I guess, okay, so 230, I guess, if you want to split the middle. But either way, I'm thinking that McGreevy, Palante, Quinn Matthews, you could even see Matthew Liberatore getting some starts. I'm thinking that those guys are going to really see some time once you hit June and on, and then even some starts thrown out throughout the first 3 months of the year. So I'm predicting that pitchers under the age of 30 will throw more innings as starters than pitchers over the age of 30.
Now I'm going to ask you, what's going to happen to these over 30 guys? Are they getting hurt, or do they just suck and we got to take them out of the rotation?
Any one of there's three different options. Like Eric Fetty could be traded. Steven Matz could get hurt, and then Miles Michaelis, you just throw him wherever you want. If he's underperforming, DFA, something, get him out of there.
Gotcha. The Miles Michaelis stuff, I thought it was funny during the telecast the other day because I got a lot of people chirping about it where, Brad Thompson was talking about, what's great about Miles is that he can take the ball every fifth day. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, he can, but I don't mean he's any good. Although Miles has looked all right in the spring. It's the same situation with Miles as it is every year. It's if he can hit his spots, pretty good pitcher. He's good at changing speeds, moving in and out and up and down. He's definitely got a pitch. He just doesn't throw it by anybody. And if he gets anywhere near that middle of the plate, they rip him. And that's what he's going to try to avoid this year, not throw as many strikes when he's ahead in the count, has got 2 strikes on a guy. He's going to try to work on making them chase a little bit more than like be afraid to walk them or something like that, put the pressure on those guys. So things that Miles is working on here this spring. We've got more bold predictions, including one about Nolan Arenado coming up next with Thomas Govain on Locked On Cardinals. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. So if you need help with, say, a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. Posting a job, very free, very simple, and within a day with multiple qualified candidates to choose from. And instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. So visit Upwork.com right now. Post your job for free. That's right. Upwork.com right now. Post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com. Upwork.com. to connect with top talent and grow your business today. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Obviously, at the time of this recording, basketball is underway. The tournament has begun right now. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. Had an exciting game on Wednesday night. When it was the in-play ones at the end of the night. You had Xavier taking on Texas. Texas was up huge. Xavier mounts that massive comeback and let the madness begin, man. They came back and ended up winning that game. One of my favorite things about this tournament is just picking underdogs, watching these teams that really don't have any business competing with some of these big schools, but watch them pull up the upsets, the 13s over 4s and 12s over 5s. That's what makes it fun for me, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. It's the FanDuel app. Get it now. It's simple to use, and when you win, you're going to get paid instantly. There's no waiting around, which is great as well. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on X anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. Thomas Gilvain from RedbirdsRants.com joins us here today. Recently did a write-up about 5 bold predictions about the Cardinals' upcoming 2025 season. Nolan Arenado obviously was a big story in the offseason. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Where does he want to go? Is he lying about where he wants to go? Is there a sneaky team? It was all of this nonsense back and forth. And of course, it ends up nothing happens. He ends up being in a Cardinals uniform. And so far it's spring training, other than like the first week when people were bombarding him with questions, been relatively quiet as far as any kind of like drama surrounding Nolan. We never really expected him to cause any drama, but you always wondered if media was going to be bugging him so much. They got on his nerves and there'd be an issue there. But hasn't been a problem. Everybody said everything about the clubhouse with him being there, even though people didn't expect him to show up. They thought he was going to get traded, not that he was going to hold out or something, but that everything's been seamless. There hasn't been any issues whatsoever. He's gone out and been the Nolan Arenado that they expected him to be as far as a personality. So, what is your bold prediction for Nolan Arenado in 2025? Is he staying in St. Louis? What's happening with him? What do you have?
It's a double dipper for Nolan Arenado. The first part is that I think he'll be traded by the end of the year. I don't think that's too bold. As you said, the whole offseason was trade rumors. I could see something else popping up by the trade deadline, even possibly earlier in the year. The other half might be bold. He's entering his age 34 season, and I am predicting him to receive MVP votes once again. Not to win MVP, probably not even to finish in the top 5, like maybe number 10, number 9, somewhere around there for the MVP votes. He seems motivated this year. He has the weight change. He added strength to himself this offseason. He seemed to adjust his preparations. I think his mindset's in the right place, too. He's got a chip on his shoulder trying to prove people wrong. His OPS plus has dropped the last 2 years. His defense dipped in 2023. It came back up a little bit in 2024. So I think with a better offensive performance, some more home runs, some more slug, along with another solid defensive year, he'll see some down ballot MVP votes.
Yeah, the defense, as you mentioned, like a bit of a slow start in 2024. But I'm going to guess that there was something bothering him, and then eventually that was taken care of, and that is how you started to see him a little more spry over there at third base. He's looked great down there so far in spring training. Offensively, the numbers haven't been what you were hoping you'd see from Nolan Arenado so far this spring, but you mentioned physique, mentality. He looks good there. Anything you're seeing from his approach at the plate has looked any different so far in games this spring that give you some optimism that he'll be better this year?
Not so much that I've seen at the plate. I wish we had bat speed numbers from StatCast. There are some StatCast coverage games, but I haven't seen bat speed anywhere, and I think that's something that he really needs to hit hard. If he can get his bat speed back up, hit the ball a little bit harder, go back to what he's used to with pulling it in the air, I think that all that would go a long way for him for success.
Yeah. And I'm not like coming into this season, I'm not so much looking for him to put up big power numbers. I don't need 25, 30 home run, but I need the extra base hits again is where I
Mhm.
really missed Nolan Arenado last year, where, it's not the easiest place in the world to hit home runs at Busch Stadium. And being that he only gets it over the wall when he pulls it makes it even more difficult for him. But being able to hit those power alleys and hit the gaps with line drives and stuff was something we missed out of Nolan Arenado last year. It was weird that he wasn't able to do that as often. So I'm just hoping for more of that. I'm not worried about him hitting 20, 25, 30 home runs. I'm not worried about that. I just need to see more of the extra base hits out of Nolan. I need to see those doubles. Next on your bold positions, we're talking rookie of the year. What do you got there, Thomas?
Yeah, it's been 2 years since anybody even received a vote for the Cardinals. The last guy we had was Brendan Donovan back in 2022, and he finished third behind Michael Harris II and Spencer Strider. 2023, nobody got votes. Last year, Masyn Winn was close, but it was a very tough competition. He lost out to Paul Skeens, Jackson Churio, Jackson Merrill, and Shota Imanaga. So I think in 2024 we get back to Cardinals rookies being recognized. It's a big part of the team these next couple of years is this youth movement. So if they can have some national recognition via the voting, I think that'll go a long way too. The guy I predicted would be Michael McGreevy to get some votes. I think he'll come up pretty early, get some starts, log some good innings. If he can hit that 120 inning mark in the majors this year, I think that's enough to get some recognition as a pitcher. I would have said Victor Scott II, but he lost his rookie status last year when the Cardinals extremely mishandled his situation.
What? The Cardinals mishandled the situation with a young player? Stop it.
I know it's unheard of. Yeah.
Another guy to keep an eye on for that list, obviously, would be Quinn Matthews. McGreevy, appears to have a leg up as far as like being on the roster sooner. But Quinn Matthews is somebody that obviously everybody's very much excited for. So he's a rookie, obviously, to keep an eye on as well. But yeah, offensively, there's just not a lot of room for a lot of offensive rookies to make any impacts on the roster this year. So it's going to have to be from the pitching staff if something like that's going to happen. All right, your fifth and final bold prediction. Now, this one has somebody losing their job, Thomas, which, nobody likes for that to happen to people, but inevitably it does happen. What do you have going down as far as somebody losing a job this year?
Yeah, it's not one of us. I think we're both keeping our jobs throughout the year. I guess we'll find out.
We should. We haven't done anything wrong yet.
Yeah, right. No, I've got Oli Marmol being removed as the manager by the end of the year, and I think he may not stay on the staff this year, but I think they'll find a spot for him. The organization seems to really like him, especially his touch with the younger players. I think he'll stay somewhere in the player development pipeline or as like a special assistant, the president of baseball operations, one of those things. And then the guy who I have replacing him, my preference would be Albert Pujols as manager. I think you get into some dangerous territory bringing back former players, especially legends like Yadier Molina and Pujols. Their reputation can be tainted pretty easily. Managers are not there to be loved by the fans. And more often than not, you find managers being hated by the fans. But I think that Pujols could do really well as a manager. He's shown success in other leagues, in the winter leagues, those types of things. So I have Marmol being fired and Pujols replacing him.
So we're going to can Oli, but we're going to keep him in the organization. That's the idea.
Yeah, maybe not this year. It's weird to fire somebody and be like, no, just go down to motion a few levels. But I could see it him coming. Yeah, right. In 2026, I think I could see him coming back as like a special assistant or someone to work with young players. It's not a familiar thing for people to do, but the organization seems to really like him in his role and what he's done for the young players.
Yeah, so something I noticed from Oli early on in spring training when he was able to spend more time with the media before all the games and stuff started, and I feel like some fans got to see more of his personality in interviews with different media outlets, and they were like, "Well, wait a second, I got this guy actually is kind of funny and is kind of you know a guy's guy," and we kind of enjoyed hearing what he had to say and him ribbing people in the media. And maybe you just don't see that side of him all that often, especially when the games do start, because it's, he's got a lot on his plate. He's doing a whole lot. Mm-hmm. So it seemed like early on in the spring, people were like, well, maybe he's not as bad as we thought he was. And he's not such a a kiss ass to Mo and is not just Mo's puppet or anything like that. But we'll see. It all depends on winning, right? Like if he comes out and the Cardinals do well this year and they win, let's say they win 85 games, it surprised a lot of people, which 85 would be a lot for this team comparing to what other people are predicting for them. There's a lot of people thinking mid 70s or lower as far as their win total this year. So if Oli's able to get more out of them than most people think, maybe that'll turn things around for people. I know the hard part is saying no. I feel like as a fan, saying no to Albert or Yachty and said who want to be here clearly. They have aspirations of obviously being a major league manager, would love to do it in St. Louis, but they're willing to go other places. They've said this, that they're willing to take jobs at other cities if that's what has to happen, as long as they get to chase their goals. And gosh, it would be weird for imagine the backlash if Oli stays and they say no to Yachty and to Albert and they end up
having riots in the street.
Yeah, heaven forbid they're on a team in our division. I just can only imagine the mess that would cause. Would be a tornado.
Yachty even mentioned the Cubs by name. He said the Cubs by name as a team he'd go to. Man, we'd have some.
Yeah. The Cubs, here's the thing. Cubs are kind of all right with Craig Counsell right now. I don't think they're trying to move on from him. They've paid him a lot of money, and I find it hard to believe. The only team that's really kind of we don't really have a man is probably Pittsburgh with Derek Shelton. Everybody else in the division. I mean, Milwaukee loves their guy. The Cubs paid extra to get their guy. The Reds go out and get Francona. So there's not a lot of openings here in this division outside of Pittsburgh, maybe. And then, of course, in St. Louis, where, Oli, obviously, you got to show us what you got this year. Good season his first year. Things go crazy the second year, and everything goes haywire, and we suck. And then last year, I think he surprised some people. When you consider how bad some of the stuff, Goldie, Nado, not being what they normally are, not getting anything really out of Gorman and Walker, which were supposed to be big cogs, and still winning 83 games with that team. I think that was a really good job. I mean, people aren't going to like Oli, no matter what he does, but I was impressed with how he was able to put it all together. It just, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Need some help from the front office for stuff like that, and they went the absolute different direction. Or said, well, we're just going to give you all these guys back. Figure it out.
Run it back. Run it back. Go ahead.
Run it back, baby. You mentioned Victor Scott. I do want to talk to you and get your input on your feelings towards this center field stuff that's going on and what you think. I want to get your opinion of what you would do if you were in charge with, Victor having the great spring that he has. Some of the other guys not performing the way they hoped they would. So we're going to talk more about that with Thomas Covain. I also want to get his thoughts on Sonny Gray. So we'll get to that next on Locked On Cardinals.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. Today, for your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast with our hosts Dominic Martino and Matthew Ane. MLB Fantasy Draft season is here. Be the most informed fan. That's how you win these things. Get the information and set yourself up to win your league. You can find Locked On Fantasy Baseball on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Thomas, do you do the fantasy baseball, or, being the family guy and the kids and stuff, do you not have time for such things?
I do fantasy baseball, and whoever plays against me gets to win each week because I can't update my lineup often enough.
So you're the easy win guy who's too busy to set the lineup.
Yep.
They have it now where you just hit quick lineup and it just sets.
I know, but that means I have to check on Sunday night and remember every. It's just, I don't know. It's only a $5 league. If I lose, I lose. If I win, good for me.
Okay, all right. All right. Well, if you're a fantasy baseball guy, just so you know, I'm big on, in the first round, Bobby Witt is a guy that
Yep.
I've been targeting, and I've just been a huge fan of Jose Ramirez for years, and I feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves, and I've just loved him. So those are the guys, because they're not the sexiest picks. Maybe Witt is, but most people are going to take other people ahead of it. Those are the guys I'm keeping an eye on this year in fantasy. All right, a guy who could make some noise in fantasy this year, if the Cardinals let him be on the roster, is Victor Scott II. Thomas from RedBirdsRants.com. I put out an episode yesterday talking about this conundrum that the Cardinals are in right now, because they promise things for people who so far this spring haven't delivered at all. And I'm talking about Jordan Walker. I'm talking about Nolan Gorman. And I'm talking about not really Michael Ciani, but the fact that they want to continue to use him as somebody who would be out there a lot more than he probably should be. You've got Victor Scott who comes into spring training this year. And, the idea is that you're competing for jobs in spring training. And he has done just about anything you could ask of him. He is filling up the stat sheet, home runs, which you didn't expect, the RBIs, the walks, the stolen bases, the batting average, the on-base percentage. Obviously, we know he's a good center fielder, not at the level of Ciani is, I think, but he's not that far off. It's not like you're sticking somebody out there who doesn't know what he's doing in center field, like you might be doing a little bit with Lars Nootbaar, if you've ever seen him go after a fly ball in center field. So he's clearly a corner guy. But we keep coming back to the fact that, well, if Victor is going to be on this roster, he's got to play every day, and we're not going to play him every day. So we're going to send him down. And it bothers me that, so you're genuinely not putting together your best team. Mm-hmm. You're just trying to put the best pieces together to make the roster make a little more sense. There's part of me that gets it, but as a fan, it drives me nuts. Like when a normal fan looks at what Victor Scott has done this spring, and if he gets shipped to Memphis, the reaction is going to be crazy. And I want to know what your thoughts are on it, because I suggested that why do we have to have Jordan Walker on the roster right away? Coming off the knee thing, can we give him a couple weeks down in Memphis just to get his feet wet and get back to things? Unless he starts, ripping the hell out of the ball in the next 4 days. I'm just, the fact that they said that we're giving these guys runway, but they haven't earned the runway yet, is what bothers me, I guess, when there's guys that have clearly earned it, and Victor Scott's the guy I'm looking at. Is there no way to balance this out and get Victor on the roster? What are your thoughts on it? And do you think what I'm saying is right? Or do you think what the Cardinals are probably going to do is the right move overall?
Yeah, it's tough. The easy solution to all this would have been to trade Nolan Arenado in the offseason, because then you ship Gorman to third, Donnie to second. Yeah, the domino effect is easy there. Burley can DH, Newton left. Yeah, so Michael Ciani is your fourth outfielder where he should belong, or somewhere in AAA. I don't know. This is tough. If I were general manager of the Cardinals right now, I think I'd send Victor Scott II down to AAA. Let Lars Nootbaar get his run. Let Jordan Walker get his run. I never thought about what you said about getting Walker some starts in AAA just to get him rehabbed, essentially, almost, and warmed up, because he missed so much of spring. Just use the first 2 weeks of Memphis as his spring. Then I would probably send Scott down to AAA. Run with the lineup that you thought you'd have at the beginning of the winter, before Scott had an 1149 OPS with 3 home runs and 5 stolen bases. His stat line's insane this spring, and I am
amazing. I love it.
Yeah, you can't discount stats entirely in spring. For some young guys, especially, I think you need to put some stock into them. I'd probably put him down at AAA.
We're transitioning. We're letting the young people play, but not the best ones, apparently.
Right. Would you keep him up, or would you send him down to start?
That's the thing, is if I'm them, I'm trying to find a way to get him on this roster. And it's just because as a fan, my goal is I want to win as many games as I can at the major league level. And I feel like Victor Scott is giving me a better chance to win every day than having either Gorman or Walker in the lineup right now. I feel like there's just a dynamic about him, and it'd be different if Gorman and Walker looked really good at the plate. Gorman's looked better. I get that. I'm rooting for the guy. This is the thing. I'm not against Walker or Gorman, doing well. It's not like I have something out for either one of these guys. They need to be great for the Cardinals this year. They need to be an important cog of all of this. But it's hard for me to say no to a guy that's doing everything you could possibly want. This is not some 20-year-old guy. This is, a guy that's played his college years. It's a guy that's been on this team already. And he just offers things that the rest of this lineup can't do. Like his ability to steal bases is unbelievable. I'm not expecting this power to last. Like it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see, but I'm not expecting that out of Victor Scott. But clearly he looks different and he looks better than he did last year when he got his first crack when he wasn't ready. And it's tough for me to say to him, you got to go down. Sorry, buddy. We just don't have room for you on this roster, when it's a roster that's starving for any sort of offense whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm so encouraged by what I'm seeing from Lars Nootbaar this spring because he's healthy.
Yep. He's walking like crazy. Is he like a 30% walk rate right now? Isn't that?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yep.
Leadoff hitter.
Yeah. Why not bat him leadoff, right? I mean, to have Masyn Winn cemented as your number one spot seems a little silly. Like, why does it have to be that way? We don't know. But like, isn't the best team, like if I were to put the best team together for you right now, the starting team, I don't think it has Nolan Gorman at second base right now. I think he's either going to be a DH and you got to squeeze Alec Burleson for at bats, because I think the best is Donovan at second, Newton left. If you got to give Walker his runway, you put him in right and you get Victor in center field. That's personally, that's my best lineup right now. And I think fans would agree with me, but I don't think it's what the Cardinals are going to do.
Yep, I agree. And it stinks for Burley there because last year was one of the best hitters and pitchers. Right. He did everything he needed to last year except for not hit lefties. But he's 80% of the pitchers in the league are right-handed. He can get those at bats there.
Yeah, it just sucks that there's this. And again, it all goes back to what you said. It's the trickle-down effect from what happened by not moving Nolan Arenado, which clogs that number, the third base spot, because Gorman could have slid there. Donovan would have went to second. And you're, like you said, we wouldn't be really having this discussion. But that's where we are right now. And I feel bad. Yep. I feel bad that the odds are Victor Scott is going to have this incredible spring and get sent down to Memphis anyway. So it's unfortunate. All right, quickly, thoughts on Sonny Gray not having the spring we were hoping for. Really weird and rough outing his last time out, where he had to keep getting removed from the game and kept coming back and just had an awful time throwing strikes. How's your concern level with Sonny Gray right now? Or do you think that you're just like, he's going to be fine?
Yeah, he's one of those veterans where he's probably working on stuff right now. I don't put nearly as much stock in his spring as I do a guy like Victor Scott or Nolan Gorman. Like, he's a veteran. He's been doing this for 9-10 years. I think he said this is his 13th spring training, so he knows what to do at this point. He even said, I've experienced it all. Ultimately, it does not matter. It doesn't matter. Do what you can, get your stuff done, and get out of here in regards to spring training. So I'm not worried about him. I think he's ready to start the year, and he gets tabbed for opening day.
Yeah, he's pitching on Friday. He's going to take on the Astros in Jupiter, and hopefully you just get a nice outing out of him. Doesn't have to be perfect or anything, but just something positive to go from when you get to opening day against the Twins on the 27th. The one thing I will say about watching that last outing from Gray, that because I'm a big guy in body language, like being able to read what these guys are doing and how they're feeling, and you could see him just going, I'm just so I just don't have it today. I can't seem to find touch, and he just looked so frustrated, but he didn't look like he was like, like I'm pissed and that there's something really wrong with them. He kept saying, he looked upbeat still. He was just kind of like, man, I'm just having one of these days where it is just not coming together for me. And he's like, I'm glad I got my work in. But that's how I read it off of the way Sonny Gray was reacting. So it doesn't look like he's freaking out at all. All right, Thomas, you've got some new stuff that has been released. You got some things you're working on. Tell the people about it. What can they find at redbirdrant.com?
Yeah, I'm actually going to write something about this whole positional logjam and 5 ways to solve the issues. I just had something published today about the early season schedule. I've got stuff about the payroll coming out, just some small update pieces.
All right. Well, make sure you guys check that out at redbirdsbrands.com and give Thomas a follow on X at Thomas Govain. And I'll be more than happy to converse with you guys on the social media. He's good about that stuff. So make sure you check him out. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. We're on TikTok at Locked On Cardinals. Like, subscribe on YouTube, and help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals. Thanks, Thomas.
Absolutely. Have a good one.